Now let's get to a big voice. He is a billionaire. He's a real estate magnate, and then decided he was also going to introduce WeWork's right here in the country. Here's Jitu Virwani of Embassy, who has the licensing and exclusively for WeWork, breaking his silence. What has the IPO debacle meant for WeWork in India, one of its fastest growing markets in the world? Now for the big interview right here on Startup Central. Our big guest today is Jitu Virwani from WeWork, who's promised to be quite candid after that entire IPO debacle, all the news flow that has been coming out from Softbank as well. What's been the impact on the Indian operations, on WeWorks in India, and plans going forward as well? Jitu, thanks so much for being part of Startup Central. Welcome.
Thank you.
How have the last few weeks been?
Yeah, it's been good actually. I mean, I just got back last evening. We were away on an offsite for our company staff, which we do once in 3 years in Singapore. And I just got back last evening actually, after a long break.
So the offsite, I'm sure, a lot of employees must have asked a lot of questions, especially, when you're reading some of the headlines out there that globally there could be layoffs. So, do you want to tell us what the impact of that entire IPO debacle has been on India?
So I think with India,
if any at all.
So frankly, I mean, business is as usual. Business is growing. I mean, the WeWork India company seems to be doing well. Nothing has slowed down. This week we opened three WeWork centers in Noida. We're continuing to grow at a pace we've been growing for the last 2-3 years. And our target to reach about 100,000 desks is still on. We should do like 70,000 desks by December. So as far as WeWork India is concerned, there's no been slowdown or any effect in terms of business is concerned. Of course, all these rumors, all these media articles, which are more actually personal based, have only affected us in terms of raising capital. We were raising capital, and a lot of people who are willing to invest and actually were going ahead, kind of kept their decisions on hold due to all the media going on globally. But if you look at the numbers, and those remain the same. Nothing has changed. The cash flow remains the same. Nothing has changed. And now things have slowed down and become much more quieter at that end. And already we are talking to a couple of investors to raise about 200 million to grow this business to 100,000 desks. So we just see the only way it's affected us. It's slowed down our capacity of raising money, but also, frankly, WeWork Global has been of great help talking to investors and trying to play all this down, because the fundamentals of business, even globally, are quite strong as far as WeWork Global is concerned. So I think it's just a question of raising capital and just continuing to grow the business. And we at Embassy are also actually...
So you're saying you need to raise $200 million as a capital raising
exercise?
Yeah,
to reach 100,000 desks, yeah.
Yeah, so, but the point I was trying to get at is that when you go right now to meet with investors and ask them that, and present your business plans, etc., isn't it extremely challenging, just given the noise outside, which is not in your control? It doesn't even have to do with the Indian borders or the fundamentals of the Indian business, but it's just totally global in nature. What Softbank's view might be, what the co-founder of WeWork globally had thought at one point, and what exactly happened at Wall Street.
So frankly, that's not much of our concern. And as far as this goes, in India business, the numbers speak for itself. So all the outlets which we've opened, the buildings which we've opened, the cash flow speaks for itself. So as far as investors concerned, he's going to look at numbers. Even globally, what has happened, I don't think there is a lot of personal talk, but on numbers, not many people are questionable. Of course, WeWork globally is making a loss at present, but once it stabilizes business, it's a profitable business. And they're also profitable building-wise, and so are we. But here we don't have that much pressure to grow a large corporate team in terms of technology, in terms of design, because that's the part of the franchise we pay to WeWork Global. So I think we're actually on a good wicket, and business in India has always been insulated from the business outside the country. So also we've got great help from WeWork Global in terms of clientele and sending business to us. So this has actually helped us. What has been from the start, the way WeWork Global has been helping us is continue the same. So like I just said, the ability to raise money to reach the 100,000 desks or to get this business a valuation. So the IPO would have really helped us getting a valuation of per desk in India is concerned. And just to give you a rough estimate that even if WeWork went an IPO for 14 billion, the India business per desk would be valued at 3 billion. So it's really, would have been nice for us to set a benchmark in terms of valuation and made our life easier to raise money. But also WeWork globally, frankly, they're also making enough effort to help us with investors, and they've been very proactive with us to help us raise money. But as a backup plan at Embassy, the parent company, we're disinvesting in raising close to about 4,000 crores, and partly if we are unable to raise the money or the speed of raising the money is slow, we would continue to put money from Embassy and grow the business, and that's the plan. So because we believe in the business, we think it's a great business, it's great profitability, cash flows are good, and it's effectively more complementary to our traditional business.
Now, if you can, Jitu, just tell us a little bit about this. There have been certain reports that have been doing the rounds that you were actually going to be in the markets to raise over $1 billion by divesting stake in WeWorks. Has that been put on hold, or are you now perhaps just looking at the more immediate concern, which is $200 million to reach the target of 200,000 desks?
Let me just correct your question. No, we didn't go in the market to raise $1 billion. It was WeWork, because they were raising money from Softbank. They wanted to buy 70% in India, and there was a value, they agreed upon. And so, of course, we were interested in selling, but we didn't want to sell a small piece, and we wanted a bigger chunk of the money. So that's how this figure of $1 billion came in. And it's not that we were dependent to use this $1 billion to pay back some debt or at that point of time. But once the money would come in, we would think what to do with it. So it really didn't affect Embassy Group's cash flows in any perspective that the money didn't come. Though actually I would have loved it if it came. There are lots of things in the traditional business are available for a very good valuation. It should have been good to buy some more real estate of which are people who have some stressed assets. But otherwise, we were operating on a cash flow basis, and it's still same cash flow positive. It runs in the same situation. So nothing has changed. Our growth plans have remained the same. Everything has remained the same. If WeWork would have bought into WeWork India, then they would have grown it much faster.
So are you therefore, the corollary of what you're telling me is also the fact that Softbank is now not interested in buying out that stake from the Indian business, right? Is that the corollary or the flip side of what you're telling me?
So I really don't know. We're waiting for them to settle down, and then maybe go down to the US and talk to the new management. We know most of them because in fact they were they've been Sebastian was here last year Diwali time, and we'll see what they want to do. But otherwise, we are quite happy to just grow it the traditional way we were growing, and investing money in it, and continue to grow the business like we were doing earlier before they came to buy us out. So we're quite open-minded. If they come back again and want to buy us out, we'll be open to talk to them. But right now, we're more focused on raising money to just grow the business like we were doing earlier.
Okay, now tell me something. You clearly had a first mover advantage as well. And if you have seen one trend in India, that is of co-working spaces mushrooming by a lot of different startups. In fact, you've even seen someone like Oyo enter the co-working space. What kind of a market share do you garner at the moment? And is this space going to get too crowded?
I think at the moment, there's so much more growth in the co-working space. So it's not even, I think, it is said that it could be at like 40% of the office space in the country. But there's a long way to go. So of course, there'll be competitors. But can you name me a few competitors who are just closer to WeWork India in terms of growth? I mean, you're in this business. You interview a lot of people. Can you even tell me somebody who's invested close to the money we've invested in this space?
No, that's what I said. I said you have first mover advantage,
but anybody.
Yeah.
So co-working space in India, WeWork needs co-working in India. So we've done a great job in building the WeWork brand in India.
Is that the tagline you've given to your advertising firm for digital marketing and all that? Have you given them this tagline?
No, I'm just saying it. I'm not normally involved with
You
WeWork
may have to
digital
give this show
marketing.
Startup
It's Karan, my
Central.
older son, who runs this business.
You may have to give this show Startup Central royalty very
Yeah,
soon
maybe
because
actually,
we
it's not
might,
bad.
because it's been said over here. But okay, now jokes aside, Jitu Virwani, I also want to understand, you are a real estate magnate. You understand that business so well. You took a big bet on WeWork's co-working space. So I want to ask you, you're doing that in one space, but you also are a big player when it comes to commercial real estate. Do you see the both of them coexisting going forward? I don't mean for embassy, but going forward, is co-working going to really be the future? And therefore, what is it going to mean for commercial real estate?
So I think it's for the commercial real estate traditional business, co-working is a big boon because the commercial traditional business, we only look at big corporates such as different software companies, banking, financial services, and all these companies are large players, 500,000 square feet, a million square feet, 200,000 square feet, but we were not catering to the market, which has completely disappeared. Nobody has made small offices. So, in a way, WeWork is bunching all these people who need small office spaces and bringing as a big tenant, coming as a big tenant. So it's a big boon for the commercial space actually, and I think most developers should encourage co-working spaces like WeWork to be part of their campuses and give them better deals and make them be there so that the life of the whole park can be the whole park can come alive because it brings in a lot of energy. And I said it once in the beginning and I'm saying it again, that someday my son will be my largest tenant.
Son is going to be your largest tenant. Is he going to pay you any rent?
Of course, he pays me rent. He bargains a lot, but he does pay the rent.
But
he's taken a lot of space with DLF, Prestige, Embassy. In fact, I think he has more space with Prestige and DLF than Embassy in terms of square footage. But traditionally, at Embassy, we are designing our parks with WeWork buildings located in certain spaces in our park so that people come around it, because a lot of our tenants want to be around a WeWork or they want to have an option of expanding into a WeWork for their flexi space. So it's kind of a business which is complementary to both our businesses, and it helps us that since we're in both the areas. And similarly, like we're bringing now co-living into the picture. So co-living, and WeWork, and the traditional Embassy office space business. These are all three like a connected thing, and it helps us to grow all these three verticals together. So they're all complementary. And like you said, we've been in this business for long. It helps us to understand our tenants, the growth, and in all these areas, we are not growing based on what we want to expand or what targets set that we would grow this business so many million square feet every year, but based on our clients' demand. So similarly, as Embassy's traditional business is concerned, we've grown with our traditional tenants, and with WeWork also, we can see the pulse of where our tenants are going, and that's how we're growing that business also. So we're not just going berserk and saying, okay, we're going to do 500,000 or a million square feet in 2-3 years and build it. No. So we'll just go step by step. That's how we built the REIT also. If you see that none of our parks have speculative space in large square footage. And so something I guess we must have done right, that we just built enough space in the pipeline and not, though money was available to us, that borrow more money and build. So I think that's been the, our business plan, and we're just sticking to it. So we're not a company to get carried away with what happens with other people doing around us or the fashion of the day in the real estate, but we just have a certain math of growing our businesses, and that's all we're going to stick to.
I also wanted to ask you about this because you brought up the Real Estate Investment Trust, the REIT. You have pioneered that by the first REIT listing in the country, and you've done that with a global giant like Blackstone. Could you see the WeWork portfolio one day being REITed out? You're saying that you're in the market for $200 million, or is that something which is not workable, feasible, or a good option at the moment?
So, you've said what I keep saying to all my investors. Ideally, yes, that would have been the best thing if I had somebody like Blackstone to work along with me, or any other fund to work along with me who have deeper pockets than I have. Because traditionally, what is our relationship with Blackstone, other Warburg and other things? And we're putting dollar to dollar to what they invest, but we also are their frontline soldier to execute everything. And if we find somebody similar to believe in the whole growth story of WeWork, we would have done. Unfortunately, because of the media articles of the global WeWork, it's been put us on the back foot. But if there was a method where the valuation was set for our business, I think that if we have backing from a large fund, I mean, the fund would make a lot of money, and so would we. And this business could grow much huger, much faster, and much in a much stable manner. We're just growing it in a much cautious manner because traditionally we're a real estate company, and we want to grow business in a very conservative manner. So we're doing it slowly, but the opportunity is there for increasing the pace of the growth in the sector. But for now, we would just grow it depending on the size of the pocket we have. And I think once the business is established, so somebody, I get bankers who come in, people like you in media come and say, you think ahead of the game and co-working is this, but hello, when I'm out in the market for money, people are, like thinking, oh, what is happening in WeWork Global? But what has WeWork Global got to do with the growth of India? I mean, with India, the demand in India is far ahead and is growing, and we're catering to the demand. And all the buildings we've done in the last 2 years, they're all cash positive.
Okay, so by when do you think you'll be able to raise this money? Because that will also show whether confidence is indeed back in the sector. Like in the stock market analogy, now we say sector ka re-rating ho raha hai.
But re-rating is not based on some person's character or whatever it is. I mean, you have to look at the business. So you as a media, you must believe in the Indian company, Indian people's growth, Indians. It's all about India.
We shoot
So
the messenger. It's our
the more
fault
you
the
give lift to
IPO
the
flop.
sector,
It's our fault that Adam Newman had to step down. It's our fault that Softbank
No,
is
why is
globally
IPO?
resetting,
IPO was
right?
global. What has you got to do with the global? Hello, you're Indian. Why are you concerned what is happening in the WeWork globally? You're in India, so you speak about what happens in India.
Yes.
Why if somebody,
and that is
if a family, there are high percentages of divorces in America, doesn't mean that's going to happen in India,
Yeah.
So why do you mix global business to India business?
In fact, Jitendra,
You
our
stick to India
motto
business.
here at ET Now is Rise with India. And I want to pick up from what you said in your first answer, which is that you're still opening new co-working spaces, right? Like even when this whole crisis is on globally,
This
India
week, 3 in
is
Noida.
expanding. You open 3 in Noida. You have aims of about 200,000. So your big message today is that don't look at us, look at it in a more isolated manner, the Indian operations, right? Have I got that correct? That's your big message.
In fact, you should write that the India WeWork has grown the fastest among the WeWorks in the world. Okay, the Indian potential of the business is huge, but it needs investors to be backed. It needs banks to support it, fund it, and believe in a positive, vertical, which is the future of India.
And you're not, WeWork India is not facing any
Nobody made
cash
small
crunch,
offices,
because you're cash positive.
No, so frankly, no, that would also be a wrong statement. Of course, we have cash flow issues because it's tight to raise money. We're putting our own capital. So I'm not saying that we're sitting with a bunch of cashes in the bank and then growing, but with our back to the wall, we're growing the business. Our vendors, suppliers, contractors, they've been very supportive of us, and we're building it slowly. And that's one of the reasons we were disinvesting in Embassy, because Embassy has huge capacity to raise capital. And like I said, I mean, unfortunately, if we can't raise money from other investors, which we are very confident of, so the worst downside is we would put in money from Embassy because we believe in the business, and mainly it's the numbers speak for it. I mean, it's not my liking for a business that just I have just because it's a new fashion to be co-working. No, it's a business which is supported by numbers. I mean, so the numbers speak for itself.
I wonder, before I let you go, you spoke about another business, co-living. Has it gone live? When is it going to start? What are your plans? Can you share about that?
No, so that's my second son Aditya, who runs Embassy now, who's Chief Operating Officer for Embassy. He's introduced that, and right now it's at a planning stage where they're just perfecting a design, a model which we used, and it'll be like a cookie cutter which we'll go ahead and build all over the place. So the idea is that we've got an architect from London, who's designing it, and basically who works with airplanes designing and yacht designing, so that how compact spaces are designed. So again, this is once again, like you said, we think a little ahead of everybody else, and the idea is to build a product which suits this and maximize our per square footage return, and use the same model of space versus in a bed model, and build it. And again, it's around our parks. The most demand is around all our parks. And as you know, most of our parks, which are in part of the REIT and which are still growing with us, have huge capacity. People, I mean, huge number of people working in them. So in term, it's like a captive business. Like we started a hospitality business.
Okay, with that, Jitu Virwani, I'd like to thank you for being so candid, for joining us here on Startup Central. Appreciate you taking the time out. That's a big message. Goes with our motto, ladies and gentlemen, rise with
Thank
India.
you.
And that's exactly what WeWork's India operations message is. The market is very strong and is going to continue to grow. And despite the global crisis, you got WeWork's India in expansion mode. Just opened 3 new offices in Noida.